can say what a portrait means to someone? Who can say what happens to a heart when Grandpa opens a birthday gift that just arrived in the mail, and smiling at him is the dearest little face in the world, his grandson's very first preschool portrait? Who can say what happens to a heart when a first grader bursts in the door with her school pictures and Mom drops everything to look at them? Who can measure the hugs? Who can say what happens to a heart when a 12-year-old visits Dad at the office and there, sitting proudly on the desk, is a portrait of him in his baseball uniform? Who can say which heart swell is bigger? Who can say what happens to a heart when Dad sees a portrait of his little girl in her prom dress? Does it take his breath away? Who can say what happens to a heart every time a mom and dad look at their grown-up daughter's senior portrait and take in the wonder of her beauty? Does it bring a tear? Who can say what happens to a heart when at the slightest invitation, Grandma shows her card club the wallet portrait of her grandson, so handsome in his cap and gown? Does she beam? Who can even begin to say how deeply and dearly and sweetly and wonderfully portraits touch hearts? And who can say what happens to hearts when the portraits that capture once-in-a-lifetime moments and milestones are lost? At times like these, Lifetouch reaches out and puts its arms around families. In the summer of 1999, Lifetouch had a spur-of-the-moment opportunity to reach beyond our borders and to help Kosovan refugees.
In March of 1999, I had the opportunity to go to Albania and work in an orphanage and teach English as a second language. And the first 2 weeks of March, that's when I first started to work with the refugees. And after about 2 weeks of seeing the same refugees get off the bus and girls that looked like me, kids that were 4 years old, and I just hurt for these people. And I remember one night I just had this overwhelming, I have to do something. So I just called my dad, and I remember I was bawling, and I was like, we need to do something for these people. What can we do? Do you have any money? Can you send some money? Can you send some supplies? Because what was happening is that throughout Albania, they'd been stripped of their identification, and you don't think about that, your driver's license. You don't really think that that's a big deal, but to have that all stripped from you, that's pretty important. And so that's where Lifetouch was able to step in and really help us out and really help my dad and my brother out with the idea that they had, and just basically made it came true.
One of the things we try to do is think, how could we help beyond just this initial crisis period, because people were there for months. And one of the things we thought was, taking pictures is such an important thing, and all these people had lost all of their personal belongings, pictures, ID cards, and everything. And after our first trip, we realized taking pictures for people would be an extraordinary thing for them. And as we took pictures just for our sakes, a lot of people would say, could we have these pictures? So we realized the importance of that, and so we started taking pictures, and then wanted to help with an ID card program. And as we came back from the first trip, one of the thoughts was, how can we do this further? And that's when I began to think of people, and I had some good friends at Lifetouch, and I thought, well, maybe I could call them and see, is there any way that they could help us, not only taking pictures of these people, but also helping in this process of making ID cards for literally thousands of people. The purpose of the ID cards was to help, first of all, give dignity to people, but also give them something in their hand that would help them as they go back home, should they need ID cards for anything. And Lifetouch came through by getting some cameras and things lined up. When we realized that the cameras that Lifetouch had put together wouldn't work because of plug-in, and they could have easily said, that won't work. But what Lifetouch did is they went the extra mile. They went and found the cameras that would work and the film that we did need. And actually, on that morning, 45 minutes before we went to the airport, Lifetouch drove out with the supplies and gave it to us so we could take it on the trip.
One man told us that getting the picture was more important to him than anything else that he'd gotten since coming into Albania as a refugee. And when we went to Kosovo and we saw people that we had given ID cards, they were still using it, and they would proudly pull out these ID cards and display them for us. And for them, that was a highly prized possession.
Our name, Lifetouch, expresses the spirit and mission of our organization. Who can say in what meaningful ways hearts are touched by what we do day in and day out? And who can say what it does to a heart to belong to the family of employees who consider this work a joy?